Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Captain Zach Looker. We are honoured to acknowledge Ms Ingrid Fischbach, Parliamentary State Secretary, German Federal Ministry of Health. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of the RSL and Services Club Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland who are watching this ceremony broadcast around Australia. During this ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors as well as students on behalf of the following schools. From New South Wales, Lauren Navalas School from Glenhaven, and from Queensland, Belmont State School from Carringdale. Please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Gunner George Lucas Drennan. George Drennan was born on the 13th of August 1885 to John and Anne Drennan. His mother was Scottish and his father was Irish. The pair had met and married in Greenock, Scotland, and migrated to Australia around 1880. John Drennan spent a considerable amount of time working on farms in the Clare district before taking up a farm of his own near Balaclava. George was born in Clare shortly before the move. Anne Drennan died in February 1900, and with the farm struggling to make money, John Drennan sent his daughters out to service to make ends meet. John Drennan married the widowed Margaret Longmuir in October 1901. By 1910, land was reaching record high prices and he was able to sell his property for a huge profit, retiring to Woodville in Adelaide. George remained with the family and followed his father and brother David in having an interest in the Presbyterian Church in Woodville. He eventually moved to Western Australia where he took up farming. George Drennan tried to enlist in the Australian Imperial Force after the outbreak of war, but was turned down for having bad feet. However, with the need for manpower on the rise, enlistment standards were relaxed, and he was accepted for service in the artillery in February 1916. Drennan left Melbourne in May 1916, arriving in England 2 months later. He was posted to the 7th Field Artillery Brigade and joined them on the Western Front in January 1917. In April 1917, George's younger brother David was killed in action at Bullecourt while serving with the 48th Battalion. 2 months later, George was badly gassed and spent several weeks in hospital and later on light duties recovering. He returned to his battalion in July 1917. In October 1917, Drennan's battery was operating support of the Australian infantry near the Belgian town of Ypres. After several days' heavy work, the batteries were subjected to severe shelling by the Germans. The war diary reports that gunners were careless of danger, being concerned only in maintaining as many guns as possible of the batteries in action. They suffered a large number of casualties as a result. One of those killed was gunner George Lucas Drennan. He was later buried in the Brandhoek New Military Cemetery No. 3. He was 32 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among more than 60,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. But this is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember gunner George Lucas Drennan, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. We'd like to thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial. Wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.